The panel liked the way the agent handled his call on Mr. Anderson. They rated it good.
It was very good. The agent started out by promising a benefit, and that's the first big secret, if you can call it a secret, of making successful telephone appointments. Remember the agent's words.
My business, Mr. Anderson, is helping people to save money. I have a new plan which has proven of value to a number of up-and-coming businessmen like yourself. Can we set up an appointment?
Yes, there was an implied benefit here of saving money through a new plan that was almost certain to arouse the prospect's interest or curiosity. That's what you should shoot for in any call you make to set up an appointment. Arouse the prospect's interest or curiosity. In this instance, however, the prospect said he was too busy. But this didn't discourage the agent. He kept trying for an appointment. There's the second big secret of successful telephone practice. Never give up on the first no or on the first mention of an objection. Many objections are only excuses and should be ignored until the prospect raises them a second time. When you learn how to be tactfully persistent and pleasantly aggressive, you will have mastered the most difficult and most productive selling technique in the book. Incidentally, did you notice that the agent took the initiative in setting the appointment?
Can we set up an appointment for tomorrow morning to discuss this, say at 10:15? Or would the afternoon be better for you?
Note that the agent gives the prospect a choice between two different times for an appointment, rather than a choice between yes and no. Try to avoid asking questions which can be answered with a no.
I like the specific time Agent Evans suggested. When setting a time for a business meeting, make it for a quarter after the hour or a quarter of. The prospect is less likely to have something on his calendar at those times. And while we're on the subject of time, the best time for business calls to executives is 9:45 to 12:15 in the morning and 2:30 to 4 in the afternoon. If you can't get past a particular secretary, try calling about 12:15 when she is most likely to be out to lunch and her boss is still in the office.
Note that the agent handled the too busy objection by suggesting a luncheon meeting. He could also have suggested a meeting at the prospect's home in the evening or on Saturday, or, if feasible, that they talk on the way to or from the office. Well, let's listen now to our next call and how the agent handles the common objection, not interested.
Hello?
Mr. Clark,
Yes?
I'm Tom Evans of the New Life Insurance Company. Recently, in a conversation with Jack Anderson, he told me a little bit about you, and I felt that you're the type of man I should meet. I'd like to show you a new plan which
Wait a second. If you're thinking about selling me insurance, I'm not interested. I've got all the insurance I need.
Well, I'm glad to hear you believe in life insurance, Mr. Clark. May I ask how long it has been since you had your policies reviewed?
Well, not very long ago. Matter of fact, just a few months. You can see why I'm not interested. Now, we'd be taking up your time and mine for nothing.
We're all too busy these days to waste time, Mr. Clark. I appreciate your desire to be helpful. Incidentally, do your policies provide for an automatic premium loan?
An automatic premium loan? I don't know. What's that?
Well, maybe I can be helpful to you. This is an important provision you'll probably want to include in your policies if it isn't there now. I tell you what, even though you probably aren't going to be in the market for more insurance for some time, I'd still like to meet you and possibly be of help to you on your present policies if I can. Will you be in your office tomorrow morning at 9:45, or would you prefer I came later in the afternoon?
Let's take time now to rate this third call and to discuss the handling of prospects who say they are not interested. The panel rated this third call good. They approved of the agent's tactful persistence and pleasant aggressiveness, thought he made the best approach to the not interested prospect by using a disturbing question. When a prospect is satisfied with his present situation, whether he has insurance or not, the strategy called for is to ask questions which undermine that satisfaction. This calls for being prepared with disturber questions to deal with any situation you may encounter.
The agent did well to ask for an appointment so he could show the prospect something. This is better than saying he had something to tell him. In that case, the prospect may suggest that you tell him over the telephone.
Let's move ahead now with another call, this time to a prospect at home in the evening who raises the familiar objection, no money.
Hello?
Good evening. Is Mr. Jones at home?
Yes, he's downstairs in the basement. Wait, I'll get him for you.
Thank you.
Henry? Henry? Somebody wants you on the phone. I don't know.
Hello.
Good evening, Mr. Jones. My name is Tom Evans. I'm with the New York Life Insurance Company. I heard you just bought a new house, so I'm calling to find out when I can come over to show you a plan for paying off the mortgage in case something happens.
Wait a second. No use talking about insurance. I can't buy now anyway. No money.
Well, it doesn't cost very much for a plan to cover your mortgage, Mr. Jones. In fact, you'll be surprised how little it takes to get this valuable protection. Suppose I drop over tomorrow evening about this time. It'll take only a few minutes to explain it. Is that okay with you?
We'll break in here to analyze this phone call. Number 4 on your rating sheet. The panel rated the call on Mr. Jones poor.
We sure did. There were several things wrong with it, as your discussion no doubt revealed. One of the important requirements when making telephone calls is to quickly make a friendly impression. The way to do this is by being courteous and by taking a sincere interest in the prospect's problems or situation. Also, by displaying a friendly attitude or manner. The agent violated the rule of courtesy by failing to apologize for interrupting whatever Mr. Jones was doing and for making him come up from the basement.
He also overlooked an opportunity to have a friendly chat with the prospect about his new home or about things related to it, such as where he moved from, whether the new location is convenient to the children's school, and other subjects that could lead to a friendly discussion. Instead, the agent was matter-of-fact and businesslike. That isn't desirable on calls to the home. Also, when the prospect said he had no money, instead of expressing understanding that buying a new home makes a heavy dent on available cash, the agent replied by assuring the prospect that a mortgage protection plan doesn't cost very much. Now, this was very weak. One thing to be said for this call, however, the agent did use tactful persistence and kept trying to make an appointment.
Let's listen now to another call made to a prospect at home. This call will embody the improvements just recommended, but may contain other mistakes. So listen carefully.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Edwards.
Yeah, this is George Edwards. Who's this?
My name is Evans, Tom Evans. I'm with the New York Life Insurance Company. By the way, I hope I'm not interrupting your dinner.
Just finished, as a matter of fact.
Well, maybe this call will get you out of doing the dishes.
That's a thought.
I telephoned to find out when it might be convenient for me to call on you, Mr. Edwards. I have an interesting new plan to show you, which has been attracting quite a bit of attention from other families in your neighborhood. It's a plan that
Before you go any further, let me tell you something. I just got finished paying my income taxes. I'm afraid no matter how good your plan is, I'm just not a prospect for you. I'm clean out of money. Maybe some other time.
Seems like we're all working for Uncle Sam these days. I heard a speaker say the other day that we should pay our taxes with a smile. And somebody popped up and said he'd like to do that, but the government insists on hard cash.
He wasn't kidding either. Well, like I told you, Mr. Evans, I'm just not in the market for more insurance right now. Have all I need and don't have the money to buy more anyway.
Well, I'm not counting on your buying insurance from me right now, Mr. Edwards. As a matter of fact, it may be possible to increase your present insurance benefits without having it cost you a dime more. Now, suppose I come out tomorrow evening about 7:45. Are you finished with dinner by then?
Look, Evans, you sound like an intelligent guy, but let me spell it out for you, huh? Right now, I don't want to talk about insurance with you or anyone else. Now, is that clear?
Well, it sounds like you mean it all right. Well, I tell you what, do you mind if I drop something in the mail for you? It's a memorandum I've drawn up containing some tax savings ideas.
Okay, sure. Be glad to have it. Sorry I popped off at you.
That's okay. But do you mind if I call you in a few months when you've recovered from the income tax payment? Still like to show you the plan I mentioned before.
We'll stop to analyze this phone call, the last one on your rating sheet. Then we'll hear how the panel rated it. The panel thought this fifth call was nicely handled. They rated it good.
Some of you may have thought that the agent was too aggressive in trying to fix the appointment. But as indicated earlier, tactful persistence and friendly aggressiveness are powerful sales-making tools, particularly when making telephone appointments. Now, this last call demonstrated two important points. When you run into an individual who gives you a hard time on the telephone, don't let it stir you up or cause you to lose your temper or to respond the same way. This never pays off. In other words, don't let a few sour apples spoil your taste for telephone. Be bigger than that. The second point is, get mileage out of every call. By this is meant, when you get a turn down, ask the prospect for names of anyone he knows who has just been promoted, had a baby, bought a house, and so on. Or ask if you can put something in the mail for him, or if you can call him back another time. Even if the prospect is bad-tempered on the first call, he'll be friendlier on the second, especially if he has received something in the mail from you in the meantime.
Well, that wraps up the panel's analysis of the 5 telephone calls. In their discussion, a few other ideas came up. One is to prepare good written answers to the most common objections you encounter, and have these in front of you when making calls. These will save you from fumbling for answers. Another is to jot down notes on individual cards when talking with prospects on the telephone, so you won't forget important points that come up during the call. And you'll find it very helpful to have a copy of telephone tips in front of you when making calls for appointments.
Don't forget, when you are making appointments, to arrange your telephone calls geographically. If you make one appointment for the evening and are looking for one more, it's not a good idea to make your next call to someone way on the other side of town. Now, a pleasant telephone voice is an asset, but not an essential. To improve the effect your voice has on prospects, try smiling during your telephone call. The prospects won't see your face, but they sure can hear the smile in your voice. Incidentally, don't be humble and apologetic when making phone calls. Stay on a man-to-man basis. You'll get better results.
To summarize the highlights of the panel's comments, arouse interest or curiosity with an implied benefit or a disturbing question. Never give up on the first no or on the first mention of an objection. Be tactfully persistent and pleasantly aggressive. Make a friendly impression. Take the initiative in setting the appointment. Give the prospect a choice between 2 different times for the appointment. Ask for an appointment by saying you'd like to show the prospect something rather than tell him. Never lose your temper. Get mileage out of every call. Ask for names. One final note. The law of averages is really a law. If you make enough skillfully handled calls, you're going to get appointments. And when you make appointments, you're going to make sales.